I started studying the occult. It was pretty tedious, but I persevered. Eventually, I knew as much, if not more, than Barry. He became convinced that I was a Satanist, like himself. He began to hint at other crimes that he hadn't been tried for. I asked him to talk about them, but he wouldn't. I was still only a woman, you see. A brood mare, he called me. So I decided to raise my status. I told him I'd been having strange dreams in which I'd been shown symbols. He asked me to draw them, and they made up the sigil of Astereth. A sigil is an occult sign. He thought he'd made the discovery himself, and after that it was all I could do to stop him genuflecting when I came into the room.
You gave him the sleeping pills. You got him into the Dramatic Society, the infirmary, and to top it off, you drove him out of the gate.
I'm sorry. I thought what I was doing was for the best.
Constable.
Why don't you come with me? We'll get you some fresh air, Doctor.
Play like a man with 10 thumbs, priest. Did I frighten you, shaman? It's only a shadow, you fat fool. A parlor trick. See? A trick. The sign of excommunication. You should appreciate that, Juju man. Trickery is, after all, your stock in trade.
Not trickery. I represent the truth.
You represent your own fat interests, charlatan. Weakening men with your morality tales. Do you know who I am?
I think so.
The copper. The one in the red car. Why did he come to you?
Morse? He thought you might wish me harm. He found some newspaper articles in your room.
Research. Nothing more. You are nothing to me, shaman. Now you get back to your little house and call this Morse creature. Tell him I wish to speak with him. Go on, you fat slug. Tell Morse I want him here.
Keep your eyes on Terry. Where's Johnson?
But how did he know we'd spoken, Morse? I told no one. How did he know?
I've gone over the churchyard ground, sir. There's no sign of him.
Thank you, Lewis.
At least we now know he's not after me, Chief Inspector. He wanted those articles for research purposes, he said.
Have you had time to study the manuscript, Canon?
Some of it. It says nothing original, but it is well written and shows Barry to have a firm grasp of his subject.
How can someone so bright believe in all that stuff?
I believe in an historical figure who made the lame walk and the blind see and who raised himself up from the dead. Or don't you believe that, Sergeant? Appleton? It's Barry. He wants to speak to you.
Morse?
The woman, Esther Martin. I want her brought to Oxford.
Now listen to me. Your situation is hopeless. You can't stay on the run forever.
Why not? I'm invisible, Morse. I watched you speaking to that fat charlatan. You never even saw me. I'm invisible. Now, I want the woman brought to Oxford.
Why do you want her here?
I'll tell you when you've brought her here. Now, do I get her or not?
I don't have the authority to make concessions.
It's not a concession, Morse. I'm giving you an order.
And I'm telling you, I don't have the authority.
You just made a mistake, Morse. You'll see if you haven't.
What did he say?
He wants Esther Martin brought to Oxford. When I refused, he said I'd made a mistake. I get the feeling he's right.
Esther, come in, please. Chief Inspector Morse has some information for us.
Have you caught him?
No, not yet. We are now certain that Barry is in the Oxford area, Dr. Martin, and what's more, he intends to stay there. For the moment, at least. But we don't know why. In your dealings with him, did he ever mention Oxford?
Not that I can remember, no, Chief Inspector. But what makes you so sure about his intentions?
Because Barry asked for you to be brought to Oxford, Doctor.
Good Lord. What did you say?
I said no.
I think you may have made the wrong decision. You should have agreed. It wouldn't have worried me. You have to understand that. You should have said yes.
It's not that simple, Doctor.
To Barry it is. And shouldn't this give us cause for thought? I mean, why does he want me there? Isn't it possible I'm right about Barry? That he does really believe I am this medium? And he wants me nearby? Couldn't we possibly use that somehow?
There is another possibility, Doctor. That he wants to harm you in some way. He knows you tried to deceive him.
He didn't harm me when I drove him out of Renwick.
You had Mr. Clough in the car. Barry would never have taken the chance.
I agree with the Chief Inspector, Esther. We think you should stay at home until this is over.
I see. If you change your mind, you know where to find me.
Do you hear? I think you haven't been fed in a month of Sundays. Is that you, Stevie? 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 I know someone's here. I've got a knife here. Stevie?
Foul is fair and fair is foul, Chief Inspector. That's what your satanic Bible amounts to. Righteousness is but a fetter on man. Remove it and you have the Superman. But no veiled reference to Barry's current intentions, if that's what you were hoping for.
A vague hope, yes. Anything that might help us catch this man before he harms someone.
Well, there was something in the calendar.
You mean you can make sense of that thing?
Oh, yes, yes. It's compiled in the language of the celestial alphabet with a few sigils and symbols thrown in for good measure. But there was a date marked out, August the 1st.
That's just a few days away.
Yes, Lammas Day, when homage is paid to the devil.
Oh, excuse me, sir.
Was there anything else?
There was a sigil representing fire set down beside the date. Now, I can't be certain of its significance, but satanic fundamentalists do regard fire as the prime symbol of their master's power.
How can you be so matter-of-fact about all this? Sigils, Lammas Day, the language of the celestial alphabet. We're about to enter the 3rd millennium, Canon.
Yes, but the occult will always be with us, Chief Inspector. It reflects a part of our nature.
Well, you believe that, it follows that we're all like Barry, does it not?
Well, potentially like him, yes. In church, he accused me of weakening men by what I do. I preach morality and restraint. Without those things, we have Barry. It appalls me to think there's the remotest connection between myself and that man, but consider his crimes, Chief Inspector, and ask yourself this. When we look at a woman, how many of us can say that our look is truly innocent? I can't. So from Barry's point of view, he could argue that what distinguishes him from me is his honesty.
Sir! Barry, he's abducted a woman.
Corpse is inside, sir.
He left this for us, sir. It's written in blood.
Who lives here?
A Mr. and Mrs. Trevors. The chap outside's a Mr. Tracy. He came to buy some fresh eggs and found this. There's more through here.
More blood.
The Trevors had a cat, Sergeant.
Barry said I'd made a mistake, Lewis. And this is the consequence.
This is Barry's doing, sir. No one else's.
Do we know where Mr. Trevors is?
There's some business correspondence there, sir. He seems to be a sign writer or painter. There's a job offer from one of the colleges. He should be there now.
Well, we'd better go and tell him what happened here.
On Willowbank, Chief Inspector Morse.
This is Sergeant Lewis.
How do you do? What's this all about, Chief Inspector? Man Trevor's in some kind of trouble? You will appreciate I can't have an intimate knowledge of everyone I employ in the college.
Just take us to see him, will you, Passer?
Mr. Trevor's? He's a gentleman who would rather like...
We're police officers, Mr. Trevors. Chief Inspector Morse. This is Sergeant Lewis. We've just come from your house.
My house? Why? What's wrong?
I'm very sorry, Mr. Trevors, but we think your wife's been abducted.
That can't be right. Holly? Abducted? She'll be out somewhere. You've made a mistake.
No mistakes.
Well, who would do that? Why?
Mr. Trevors, are you familiar with the name John Peter Barry?
She wasn't taken by him. Not him. No.
Mr. Trevors, we know this man plans very carefully what he does. Would you have noticed if anybody had been hanging around near your house recently?
No, there was no one.
chap, but Chief Inspector, my staff and I would be quite happy to look after him until he's a little recovered from this.
I prefer Mr. Travers was taken home, Bursar. We want to talk to him again.
As you wish.
There's one question, Mr. Travers. Does your wife have a car?
No car.
How did Barry get her away from the house, Lewis?
He must have transported.
You take Mr. Travers home, wait with him till Barry calls. I'll check and see what vehicles have been stolen since Barry escaped. Sergeant, I'd like a list of any vehicles stolen since Barry's escape.
Up to his old tricks?
It looks like it. Is Chief Superintendent Strange around?
Press conference, sir.
Chief Superintendent, please.
Chief Superintendent, are you certain Barry abducted Mrs. Travers?
Yes. Oh, there's no doubt. No doubt at all. Forensic examination of the message left for the police clearly implicates John Peter Barry.
But why abduction, Chief Superintendent? That's not been Barry's style, has it?
You'll appreciate there are certain matters we can't discuss.
But why?
What I'd like to emphasise is this. We now have approximately 100 men involved in the search for Barry. And these officers are engaged in mobile patrols, door-to-door inquiries and extensive searches of premises and property. And this level of activity will be sustained until this man is caught and Mrs. Travers returned to her family.
What's he doing to my wife? Meantime, till you catch him.
What if he's having us on? I mean, that woman could be suffering God knows what agonies, and we're sitting here on our backsides. Has there been anything on the stolen cars?
Not yet. Everyone's been issued with a description.
Moores? You saw my work?
I saw.
Well, do I get Martin?
Is Mrs. Travers all right? You haven't harmed her?
Not yet. Do I get Martin?
Why do you want her?
She's a deceiver. Like all of her kind, she has lessons to learn.
You can't expect us to hand her over to you.
I expect you to keep her till I'm ready for her.
August the 1st, you mean? Lammas Day.
Don't play games, Morse. You people are no match for me.
We caught you before.
I'll let that go. For now. Now, I want the Martin woman brought to a public place, the Castle Hotel. I want to see her go in at 10 o'clock in the morning. And remember, I've stood next to you before, Morse. You, be at the gate to Lee's farm at 11 o'clock tomorrow night.
I hope to God he was telling the truth about Mrs. Travers. He didn't like that, did he? When you said he'd been caught.
But he was caught. Coming out of a house he'd burgled in Leicester. It was fortuitous. A beat constable in the right place at the right time, but he was caught. Why should that bother him?
Now, I have been wondering what you were going to do with this. Stick it in me? Liar. I wonder what it feels like. Bit like a bee sting, I suppose. With the real pain coming afterwards. Do you think so, huh? Like sting? I'm sorry about the gag. It's just that they're out there looking for me. They won't find me, of course. Fear. That's what this place smells of. It stinks of fear.
You still here, sir?
Yes. Well, you know, calls to make, soundings to take.
What calls were those, sir?
I've arranged for you to be at Lee's farm first thing in the morning with Sergeant